Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm DJ McCree of Track Heavy ENT, and today we're going to be doing a full review on Presswerk's dynamic processor, and then just walking through the actual plugin itself, because a lot of people always ask me about this, and then I thought I did a review, but I didn't, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do a review. I did an overview, and the overview sucks, so we're gonna go ahead and do a review. And we're gonna go into the screen cam so you can actually see what we're talking about. Once again, Presswerk is a dynamics processor, which in general, the reason why it has dynamics processor is because it has many different processes that you could do. But in general, this is a compressor, just working on the dynamic range of a plugin. So in general, it's made by Yuhi, and Yuhi makes so much great stuff. And this is one of the best, in my opinion, this is one of the best compressors that you can actually have in your, in your collection. If you are going to have one, a compressor at all, this could do it all. And when I say it could do it all, is that you get easy compression if you just just learning how to do the whole compression thing and just controlling stuff. It has like simple menus and whatnot, and then just one meant for your vocals, that actually excite it and give your track the your voice, that sparkle that you want, and then make it stand out. It also has very thick characteristics as well, just like much like a lot of the famous, and that's why it's modeled like that, because this is actually not, it's two that it models compressors, and it is a compressor. So you have your old school characteristics. So just moving on, and you have drum compression, which I actually have a drum bus setup. You have bus compression, when you can put in your master bus if you like to do it this way. This is also, if you look at this and you say this looks familiar, because it looks like the Teletronics 2A, and it's modeled in such a manner to work just like that one. So So, you have your classic style. Then you have, stuff that's very, very uncommon within compressors still to this day, and that's mid to side. And, I will walk you through that as well, because I think it'll blow your mind. I have many tutorials on it, but, this example will really get into it. So, and then, you have your limiter as well, so actually, you can actually choose one of these windows and go for it. And they all have their own characteristics, from smooth to punchy, whatever your style of music is. So we're going back to the normal view right here, and I just want to draw everybody's attention to this right here. And this is, I know this looks kind of strange, because you have FF. What does that mean? Like, it means feed forward. And what feed forward is like a style of aggressive compression. And mind you, these are not magic buttons. You get just press this, and then you automatically have something fantastic. You will have to learn the exact basics of compression, which is not too difficult to learn when you're trying to, mix something. So, and then you have stuff. This right here, which is feedback, is a feature that's it's more for musical people that might not be aiming for that aggressive sound. So it has something for those type of producers as well, or if you want to change the flavor up for a different mix. And then you have an interactive, where it's a mixture of feed forward and feed back, and each and every one has their advantages and disadvantages, of course. So I'm not going to get into that. What I am going to do is I'm going to play the track in 3, 2, 1, and we're going to mess with this. So, once again, you have kind of like your basic compressor here, and you have, for all its different purposes, all your different purposes, that for what you need, you actually can see basically, how everything was working, within this. This is basically is basically your gain and gain reduction, depending on how you have it switched up. So it's obviously, it's obvious that pardon me, it's obvious that this actually has things that you might want to adjust, like the threshold, and it's represented, visually over here, which is a plus for people that actually need the visual, just to see that, and not using your ears. I highly recommend that you use your ears and kind of fill out the rough ends of that or whatnot. So we're gonna do that. So of course there's no compressor happening when it's like that. So, one of the things that I also want to bring to is the soft knee. The soft knee, when it's adjusted like this, it kind of curves off like the roughness of your track, like maybe the punchiness of your kick drums or something like that. And that's more. This is like more of a musical feature, but that might not be the aim of your track. So that's basically what you're gonna do. Now, of course, you can mess with the non-linear knob and kind of dial it up and down. But if you dial it up way too high like this, that means there's no compression happening. So that it's another way of slanting or giving your actual threshold a different kind of look, or a different kind of feel for that matter. And may or may not work for you, but hey. So the real issue is this right here. It's a compressor, you're trying to work on the volume. So, you gotta add the input. And as you can see, I used effects here to actually show you how glued that is, and I'm probably, once I get to a certain input, because I have the loudness on the Maximus. I had the loudness on the Maximus much higher. And as you can see in the Maximus there, that it's not gluing like the Presswerk version, or the Presswerk compressor. Like, you actually hear the overall naturalness of that sound, including the poppiness, which you could actually do some rolling of the and then soften it up a little bit more. But here's the thing here, you can actually go a little bit further and take your music a little further than that. Because so I'm gonna just, kind of naturally roll in the output for the makeup gain. Or I can just do this if I, which is more engaging. The mid to side. Now, the mid to side, out of all the compressors that I work with that do have this feature, which many don't, only other ones I've seen that have mid to side is Boz Digital's new compressor that just came out before Black Friday. And T-Rex Teletronics, which their model of the Teletronics 2A, and many of their compressors and stuff in T-Rex. So not too many companies in general actually endorse something that has been existed since pretty much the beginning of music in the science of stereo. So, mid to side, most to some. What else? Yeah, mid to side, most to some. Stereo, mono. So those are the ways that you could look at MS programming. But as you can see, I just removed all of the middle part of the track, and what you're hearing now is the side. And this actually gives you exact detail of what the fudge is going on in your mix. So I can just add some input. Add some compression. Choose how much release, or how fast, because if I go this way it's fast, but adding too much speed to it will add distortion. So you got to fill it out with your ears. So your ears are your best weapon here. Roll out some of that input. Then we're going to slowly add the middle back in. Some might say that they don't notice the difference of how much bigger the track is and its overall weight, because it has more body now. As you can see, you could get, like you could get really detailed with just one plugin, one fudging plugin. Now I did something kind of like way offlandish for anything I like to do in terms of mixing, and that is just checking out Presswerk's, like, their drum mix. Now they have a drum compressor in here, and it's just like really trying to tee me off right now. And for the life of me, I just wanted to experiment, with the drums in general. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and move this out the way, and we're going to mute the actual audio, and we're going to just listen to the drums. And I'm going to start off by bypassing it. So most people might not have a problem with the drums and how crunchy it is or whatever, but they're in a more musical sense, since I have a drum bus up, I might be trying to achieve a softer sound with the snare and the kick drum, or might even try to give it some saturation so it kind of sticks out a little bit more than usual. So let's go ahead and dial it up. We're gonna actually press the bypass and listen to it. Now in a more of a live band setting, this has more use than it would be in an electronic music setting, but it does have its advantages. those who actually have stereo, that have like stereo metering or stereo VUs, you'll actually notice that now the snare is kind of like flapping through. Flapping through, that's a weird way to fluttering through, and you know that could be what you want or don't want, but it gives your track more of a musical standpoint. And you can go a little further. Saturation. The original. Yeah. And let's go ahead and bring in that melody again. And for all intents and purposes, I hope everybody liked that. Once again, it's Presswerk, and you know, I kind of went overboard with the example there, but yeah, I just wanted to show off all what it can do. I was really aiming for 15 minutes, but if you like this video, give it a like. If you have any comments, please, you know, ask any questions about this. And you know, if this is the first time seeing a video by me, check out other videos by me. I have many playlists that will relate to you. So I am DJ McCree of Track Camp ET, and I say happy Thanksgiving to all my Americans out there, and have a nice day to everyone else.